Welcome to the very, very first episode of the Expose and Expand podcast show. I'm your main host, your boy, Jeremy Timothy Mathis, and this is my sidekick, guys. Guys, don't believe what he said, man. Welcome to the show. This is our very first episode. Super excited. It's been a long time coming. Guys, welcome to the Expose and Expand podcast show. On this show, we want to expose you guys to the ideas, the strategies, the struggles, some of our failures, and anything else that we can help you guys to be able to help you expand in your life. So, guys, we're very excited about this moment. You good? You got them? Your butterflies out, my boy?
I'm good.
You sure?
I'm great.
You fumbled. You stumbled through that one. We needed better performance because your first half ain't your first quarter. If your first quarter, if the rest of your game look like your first quarter, I don't want it.
You ever seen Jamie Foxx on that show where he threw up when he first got in the game?
No, I don't remember. Help me understand.
What is it? Every given Sunday?
Oh yeah.
You remember he threw up, right?
Oh, okay.
And what he did?
Oh, okay.
He became the All-Star, right?
Okay, excuse me.
All right,
excuse me. So on today's episode, we want to talk about the importance of exposure. People hear the name. What is expose and expand? Why is exposure important? So we want to talk about that first. But before we even talk about the importance of exposure, we want to help you guys understand how we even start thinking about this and why it's important to surround yourself with the good people. You think you cool with me sharing the story real quick?
Go. Let's get to it.
First of all, shout out to my dog, Jacoby Brissett. I love you, bro. You're a part of the reason why we're here today, so I want to definitely shout you out. Really appreciate it. So the reason why I gave Jacoby a shout out, because one day him and I was just driving in the car, and he was like, "Twin, bro, y'all boys doing some good things." We just having small talk, having good conversation. And he said to me, "Bro, my brother wake up every day, and he says exposure leads to expansion." I said, "Wait, what you said, Jacoby?" He said, "Bro, my brother say this every day, exposure leads to expansion." I'm like, "Damn, bro, that's really powerful." I remember feeling like something in my body that really just shook me. And I'm like, dang, like that's a real message. And that's a message that the world needs to hear. So I called, I called you.
Yep.
And I'm like, "Josh, bro, I like, this is our message. This is our message to the world." What you talking about? Now, just so y'all know, I'm the hype twin. I'm the one that's always on go, 1,000%. So you're like, "Jerry, what you talking about, bro?" I say, "Bro, I was just with Jacoby," and Jacoby said, "Exposure leads to expansion." He was like, "Ooh, I like that. And from that, we started realizing, we just took a couple moments and started realizing how we've experienced so much expansion in our life just because of exposure. Everything that has happened for us started with exposure, and that's why we believe exposure is super important. And the last story that I want to tell about this show coming together is another thing that Jacoby did for us. Thank you again, Jacoby. You know, we put out a lot of videos over the years on social media, and we was asking ourselves, are we really impacting people? Are we really doing what we say we wanted to do? Because at one point our social media started to go left, and Jacoby just called me out the blue one day, and we were just talking, and he was like, "Twin," and I don't even know where this came from. He was like, "Twin, but y'all boys really changing people's lives. Y'all boys really impacting people. Like, y'all boys doing it. Y'all boys getting it out the mud. That ain't normal to do what y'all do. Y'all probably see it as normal, but it's not normal. Like, y'all boys really doing it." And he helped me understand that we gotta really get this message out there and really help people understand the importance of exposure. So that's the story. Let's get to it. So
why is it? What do you think, or why do you think exposure is important?
If everything you think about everything in life and what happens, everything starts with exposure. You think about it, right? The only way that a baby or anybody, let's think about a baby for an example. The reason why they know don't touch the stove is because either their parent told them or they touched it one time and they got exposed to it being hot. Now they know, don't do it. Yeah. So every time, like, if you got a toddler, that boy
on go.
He on go at all moments. Every time he does something and he hurts himself, he's been exposed to that trauma or that pain. He knows not to do it again. It's the same thing in life. You think about your biggest threat in life, your biggest expense, is what you don't know. And the reason why you don't know that, or the reason if you don't know something, is because you haven't been exposed to it. So just think about your biggest expense in your life is what you don't know. And the only way you know something is what?
By being exposed to it.
Yeah. So what happens to people if they're not exposed in your mind? Like, what happens?
I
They get no
think
exposure.
when you don't get exposure, one, I think people need to understand that your level of exposure determines your level of success. Like the more you expose,
Yeah.
the success you typically, if you take the right actions, should be able to achieve. But if you're not exposed, like I think that's one of the biggest threats to your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not exposed, like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So for us, you think about us in our story, right?
Yeah.
Before we transferred in high school,
Yeah.
I didn't know there was life on the other side of the tracks.
Ooh.
All I knew was, hey, man, we used to say this all the time. If we ain't make it playing football, I couldn't rap. You feel me?
I had a couple balls though. You couldn't rap. I had a couple balls there. I got a good 16.
Y'all tell that boy spit right now.
Hot mouth. Spit.
Okay,
Go ahead, go back to your point.
Thank you. So, but again, I think not being exposed is one of the biggest threats that can happen to your life, because if you're not exposed, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
For us, we didn't know there was life outside on the other side of the tracks until Mom made a decision to make sure we got to that other side of the track, so we can see the finer things in life, right? Because there are so many people. You think about it in our family, they've never been exposed.
Yeah.
They've never been exposed.
Yeah.
So they live the same life. Nothing has changed. No growth.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you? What do you think? Like, why do you think, or what do you think happens when somebody's not exposed?
A lot happens. You touched on it perfectly. Just think about people that got exposed to, just say, a different industry. So we got exposed to real estate. Luckily, we got exposed to real estate earlier. Just imagine. Remember, we had a conversation with someone that helped us understand that real estate is a great opportunity for us, and you can do real estate without needing money, because so often in our life where we grew up from, people tell you, oh, you need money, you need money, you need money. And then what happens? We got exposed to an individual that showed us, gosh, you don't need money. What you need is hustle, and you need to go out and find a deal. You need to be able to go out and raise the money, and you can do real estate. And now 7 years later, 400 plus transactions, a lot in our rental portfolio. That all happened because of exposure. But for me, one of the things that I want to do for the audience is I think what we would be doing them a disservice if we don't tell them certain stories. So I want you to think about, because I just thought about a story that really just popped in my head. So I want you to think about a story. One of the stories about exposure that I want to share with you guys is what my brother said when we transferred to that school. So give you guys some context. We used to go to a school called Miami Carol City. Shout out to the Chiefs. We went there in high school, and for the first 3 years, that's where we went, 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade. And while we was there, just living the normal life that we were used to living, right? Not seeing the things that we always saw. And when we transferred to university school, our whole life changed. And I just want to touch on different points of how exposure helped us. The first one, when we transferred, and let me give you even more context. When we left Carol City, which is a predominantly black school in the hood, and we went to university school, which is typically where the 1% send their kids. When we went there, the tuition per kid was $18,000 per year. So they give you some perspective on the type of school that we transferred to.
And this is high school.
Yeah, this is high school. So we get there, and what happens when we get there? Well, I lost my point.
You know, even before, I got an even better story for you. You think about us being exposed to hard work from a young age.
Yeah.
Seeing mom, seeing pop, seeing people who we look up to or who we admire work hard. But then even so, even better point is when we got exposed to being business owners and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that happened.
Really think about that. Like when we would see Pop, and at 5 years old, he would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go do what he had to do. He's home by 11.
Yeah.
He's having lunch with his family, chilling, relaxing, go back to work, and he's home by 5 for dinner.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying that's how entrepreneurship or business is for everyone, but just seeing like he controlled his time.
Yeah.
Like not like understanding that he was in control of his time. He did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it.
Yeah. And you think about, as a kid, you don't understand that. You just see granddaddy coming home with a box of donuts.
Yep.
While everybody else at work, and he's showing us love when we was at the house during the summer. And as you get older, you start realizing you work an internship, you work a job. Dang, I want the time freedom that Pop had.
Yeah.
And when you start to think about things. But just going back to my story about university school, I picked up my train of thought. So when we transferred there, when we went there, we just think about our perspective from life. Growing up in the hood, in the ghetto, then going to where the 1% send their school, in the hood, in the ghetto, the only careers we were really exposed to was athlete, rapper, fireman,
Dope boy,
teacher, dope boy. And there's nothing wrong with the dope boy, something wrong with that, but it's nothing wrong with those other professions. But then when you go to this other school and you start seeing these kids, we thought we had a nice little whip at the sea. We had a nice little Ford Explorer, which is nice. You go out there, it was nice for the
AC ain't work, my boy.
Hey, listen, it was nice. we had a whippy dip, okay? But you go to university school and you start seeing kids pulling up in Beamers and Mercedes Benz, and you like, dang, high school driving this. I know my family members are not able to do this. And you start asking them, what do your parents do? Oh, my dad, he runs this company. Oh, my mom, she runs this company. And you thinking like, dang, but you can run a company, you can own a company. You thought about it. I think we thought about it as a kid, but you didn't know that it was real until you started to see it translate into life. So when we transferred out there, you start seeing that, and we start realizing, wait, hold on. I can be a business person. I ain't gotta play football to make it out.
Yeah.
Cause you think about it, we had some scholarship offers. We had a lot. We had some interest to go out and play football, but luckily for us, think about how blessed we were to get exposed early on to your brain will take you further than your legs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our friends that was still in the schools that in the inner city, that when we told them we wasn't playing football no more, all them boys you think about, they was perplexed. Like, y'all boys ain't playing football no more. What y'all boys doing? But luckily for us, we got that exposure that my brain gonna take me further than my legs, and I'm gonna be able to go out and earn money from this and not from these.
No, those are all great points, and I think, like you said, in high school, just being exposed, and even another story that came to mind when we was in high school, we met a really, really good friend, Mr. Neil.
Okay, yeah.
Great guy, great friend.
Yeah.
And his dad, think about it, his dad owned a business.
Yeah.
Gave us our first, he helped us open up our bank account.
Yeah.
Gave us our first real job.
Wait, put us on a flight.
Put us on a PJ.
Yeah. No, put us on a flight first.
You know what? You're right. He put us on our
very first flight at 17 years old, and then put us on the PJ at what, like
21.
And just to see how real that was.
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday, getting on that private jet. It's like, dang, people live like this. People can really do this. Just think about how blessed and fortunate we were to be exposed to that.
Nah, and I think for me, man, it was something. You think about it, we still talk about that to this day.
Yeah, we still
talk about that to this day.
Yeah.
Right. And then too, like you said, just being exposed to it and being able to see it, and then knowing, okay, I know this guy. I speak with him. Yeah. He put his pants on the same way I put my pants on.
Yeah.
If he can do it,
yeah,
I can do it too.
Yeah. You just gave me another story that I just thought about. I remember interning for Lopez. And in that intern, I was in college, and I was working with him for a summer intern, and he told me, listen, I'm going to show you and I'm going to expose you to stuff that people at your age have never seen. And that's how he recruited me to come and do the internship with him. So I'm like, okay. I get to the internship, and you just think about how we grew up, Josh. We grew up always hearing, oh, you go to the bank ain't gonna give you no money. The bank ain't gonna give you no money if you go for an idea, or if you have a business plan or whatever. You're not gonna get money from the bank. Just think about how often we heard that. But then me as a 21-year-old kid, interning with Lopez, I remember this like it was yesterday. It's a vivid memory in my mind. He was like, hey, listen, you're gonna come to lunch with me today. I'm like, okay, let's go to lunch. So we get in this Benz, we driving, we having conversations, good conversation. We pull up to lunch, and I'm like, hey, what is this lunch for? He's like, no, I'm just meeting with some bankers. Bankers? You can meet with bankers outside of the bank?
Yeah.
Light bulb. Wait, I thought you had to go to the bank in order to talk to bankers. I didn't know you could just go to lunch with them. Because from our perspective, what we grew up was, you got to go into the bank, you got to make an appointment, you got to wait in line. You going to lunch with a banker? Okay. Jeremy, pay attention. What's going on in your life? We go, we sit down, they start conversing, they start talking, and they're begging him, we want to be the preferred bank to give you money for your company. Yeah. We want to be the bank that you work with. We want to finance everything. We're going to give you great terms. We're going to do this and this and this. As a 21-year-old kid at the time, hearing that, again, another moment of exposure that really changed the trajectory of our life.
Yeah.
That was another moment. I remember coming home, Josh, the bankers was begging him to give him money. Like Mom said, the bank ain't gonna give us no money. But I'm seeing something completely opposite.
Yeah.
Just that moment of exposure, just to know that at that point, that moment of exposure changed me, because it made me start to challenge all my beliefs. Everything that I was taught, everything that I heard growing up. And that was a huge moment for me.
But I think that's key too, though. Like, people need to understand, like, you need to challenge every belief that you have in your life.
Yeah.
Because the belief that you have is a belief that somebody told you should have.
Yeah.
Somebody else told you the difference between right and wrong.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody told you that. So for me, and that's again just being exposed. I remember us having this conversation with one of our mentors, and we said we believe something. Why do you believe that?
Yeah.
And I asked myself, why do I believe that?
I remember that.
And you think about it, because my mama told me it was right, or my dad told me it was right, or a respected person in my family when I was a kid told me it was right.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was right.
Yeah.
But then too, like, people need to understand that you can be exposed to good things and you can be exposed to bad things as well. Let's talk about being exposed to the bad things. Number one,
hold on. I gotta point out that boy, you threw up at the beginning, but you started to heat up at the halftime.
Come on, bro. Like I told you,
started to heat up at the halftime.
As the star athlete, I show up when I need to show up.
Okay.
I keep telling you that. But let's talk about what happens when you're not exposed, right?
When you're
exposed to bad things.
Yeah.
Think about it. 19 years old. You working in the dean's office.
Yeah.
The dean tells you, hey, you need to work on your credit. Your credit is so important.
Yeah.
And you go home and you tell Mom, hey, Mom, I need to get a credit card. The dean tells me I need to start working on my credit. I need to fix my credit. Tell the audience what happens in that experience.
Yeah, so
in that story.
Like Josh said, one of my jobs, we each worked 3 jobs in college, and we had our couple businesses. We was working like slaves, but one of my jobs in college was working in the dean's office. And the dean said, man, listen, I see a lot of promise in you. You need to go work on your credit. Go get a credit card. Not tomorrow. And if you don't have it, you can't come back to work until you get it. So I go home. I'm excited to tell my mom about something new that I learned. Mom, the dean said I got to get a credit card to improve my credit, to build credit, because credit is so important. The immediate words out of her mouth, no, credit cards are bad. You don't need it. As a 19-year-old kid, somebody who I always looked up to, my mom saying one thing, and then the dean, someone that I know had my best interest, I was stuck.
Yeah.
I really was stuck. Like, I didn't know what to do. But luckily for me, I've always been rebellious. The dean told me to go get a credit card. And all respect to my mom, but the dean was where I wanted to be. The dean had the nice cars. He had all the stuff that I thought that I wanted as a 19-year-old kid. So I say, the boy told me to go get a credit card. What I do? Bank of America, how y'all doing? I'm here. How can I fill out my application? I got a credit card, and I'm super happy that I did, because now I got a great credit score, all because of a conversation that happened to me when I was 19, because I was exposed to somebody that told me the right thing to do.
But the key point there is you need to learn to take advice from people that's in a position to where you want to be.
Ooh.
Too often in times, people take advice from people that's not in the situation to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And think about it. Nothing changes. You still stay stagnant. You don't grow,
Yeah.
and you don't get the outcome that you want.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I thought about when you was talking about Lopez that helped us as business owners is understanding the power of having the right people on your team.
Yeah.
What he showed you because we always wanted to do our own thing. We never wanted to work for no one.
Yeah.
We never wanted to intern for anyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But he recruited you and he shared a vision with you.
Yeah.
That was so big to where you said, you know what, I gotta go see what this is about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really think about and how that has helped us become better business owners, right? If we want to recruit and hire top talent, we need to be able to say, hey, here's our vision, and be able to explain that vision so well, but and understanding that vision needs to be big enough so that the person that we're bringing in, that top talent that we're bringing in, can see themselves flourishing in that vision.
And that all happened because of exposure.
Yep.
Exposure is so important. And when you talk about Lopez, here's another story about him that I just thought about. So once we just to catch you guys back up to speed. So we had that meeting with the bank. I did very well in the internship, and he offered me a job. I told him, no, I don't really want to do I don't want to work no job. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I'm finna go figure it out. I want to go and figure it out myself. And he recruited me for like 7 months, calling me every week, like, man, if you come in, we can do some amazing things together. You can be my protege. I can show you so much. And the offer was very intriguing, but I knew what I want. I had a vision for my life, and that vision for my life was for me to be an entrepreneur. So after recruiting me for 7 months, he calls me one day and said, hey, man, listen, I know I ain't going to get you to come work with me. We need to start a company together. I said, okay, I'm listening. You talking my language. You talking my, you got a booger, my boy. Get you on yourself right. On the other side.
Right here.
So I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, you talking my language. You definitely talking my language. What you got in mind? We gonna start a cleaning company. I hung up on that boy. He called me back. He said, dang, I guess I ain't do a good job because I told you gotta listen to every opportunity. You don't understand what the opportunity. I'm like, yeah, Lopez, but I just know, man, my
key. I'm sorry to cut you off, but key exposure.
Yeah.
Like you gotta listen to every opportunity because so often in life we're taught like, you instantly if it's from somebody that somebody that you don't want to hear from or something that you think you don't want to hear, you instantly just shut that thought down
and you don't hear it. But yeah, so he called me back. He was like, man, I guess I ain't doing my job well enough because you didn't even listen to the opportunity. I said, you're absolutely right. What's the opportunity? He said, I'm really good at franchising. And this is somebody, guys, who at that time, he's already had like 3 or 4 successful franchise companies where he started a concept and he went out and he franchised that and he sold multiple units. Like people paid him money to come into his franchise concept. He was like, I got another idea that I think would be perfect for you and your brother to prove the concept, and we're going to start a franchise company. We're going to go out and do more business, and we're going to grow the business. I said, what's the idea? He said, well, you know that I'm in the dental space. I do a lot of stuff in the dental space, and one of the things that we're noticing is that dental offices are not being cleaned the right way, and we can do a better job and charge a premium for doing a better job. Light bulb moment of exposure. I called Josh immediately. I said, Josh, man, Lopez came up with a great idea. And at the time, we was running our marketing company, a little stamping marketing company. We thought we was going to blow the world. We thought we was going to blow the world up. Foo 99. We thought we was going to blow the world up with that idea. And he helped us understand. He was like, dude, like you guys can just come with me. We could do something big. Make a long story short, we started that cleaning company. And within 18 months, we grew. And then we sold that cleaning company. But the biggest thing there is nothing that happened, nothing I just said. The biggest thing there was that at 23, 24, we sold that company. But I remember having a conversation about us selling that company. We came into his office one day to do a strategy meeting, and me and Josh, at that time, we had grown to between 8 to 10 employees that we had working with us, cleaning offices, and we just kept talking to him and venting about how much we hated the company. And he said, God, sell the company. Sell a company? What you mean sell a company? Well, I'm from, we reselling shoes, we reselling some good dope, and clothes. That's it. We ain't selling no companies. I couldn't even fathom as a 23-year-old kid that you can actually sell a company. Light bulb, another moment of exposure.
Yeah.
So we sold that company, and that was our first foray into like selling a company, into doing business, and that forever changed our life.
Big.
But that all you think about, that all happened because I took the moment to listen to the opportunity, and luckily he called back. But also, just being able to be exposed to him and being able to be exposed to somebody who's done what it is that we were trying to do at that time.
But you just said something. He called back.
Yeah.
Like, but people underestimate that. He called back. Yeah. Like, you got people he was someone that cared enough about you to call you back to teach you a valuable lesson, because sometimes people in your life would be like, oh, you know what? He don't want to listen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Nah, but just understanding that you're ignorant, like understanding that you didn't know no better at the time.
Yeah.
So he called back, and it's important that you have people in your life that love you and that care about you enough to call you back and just say, hey, you need to listen.
Yeah.
Or call you back and say, yo, you wrong.
Yeah.
And call you back and like you need those type of people in your life. But a thought that I thought about, or a question that I have is, what is your biggest moment of exposure in your life? Because
I know.
What?
Your boy, newly married. Hey girl, I love you. But just marriage. I got married. We're shooting this episode almost a month after I got married. But it was a long road for me to get married, to get to that point. You seen our struggles and our journey.
I seen it all, my boy.
Prior, me and my wife, my now wife, we had been together.
Oh, you happy to say that, huh?
Oh, very happy. Me and my now wife, babe, I love you, babe. But me and my now wife, we had been together 7 years prior to us getting married, and we had 2 kids. And people would ask me, why haven't you married her? She's a great woman. You have kids with her. Why you ain't married? I say, what I'm getting married for? We already, we all
doing a little woody
we're doing woody woo. We got to get married for? We got 2 kids. We happy. We living good. Why we got to get married? And the reason why I didn't want to get married is, number one, this is my twin brother. I saw my brother go through a bad marriage. I saw him go through a bad divorce. And that just shook my world, because prior to him going through his situation, I wanted to be married. I was a huge advocate for marriage. And seeing him go through what he went through, that turned me off to it. And it got me to start thinking that, man, I just started thinking about all the bad marriages that was in my life. And that's really all I've seen. I've never really seen like a good, solid, happy marriage. So for the longest, I'm like, nah, I ain't getting married. But then, again, thank you, Lopez. Really appreciate you. So even we sold the company, but we still stayed in contact with Lopez, and we were friends with him. And
people need to, who is Lopez? We need to just let them know he like a big brother
he
mentor.
He like a big brother / mentor. But going back to the story, I used to hate marriage, and then I started hanging out. Me and Ash started hanging out with him and his wife Jen, and we kept hanging out with them, and we kept seeing like, wow. Marriage, you can be happy in marriage. You could go out and have a great time together when you married.
Yep.
You could have open, honest conversation with your partner.
You don't got to fuss and fight.
You ain't got to fuss and fight. You guys can communicate and work together.
Yeah.
So after me and Ash spending a couple months with them, I'm like, man, I'm looking at this marriage thing all wrong. Yeah. I've allowed all of my bad experiences, all of my past, and all of my bad beliefs to mess up my family tree, to mess up my family legacy by not marrying my wife, because of what happened to you, and then all the bad things that happened. We start hanging out with Lopez, and we start realizing marriage is awesome. And that's when I said, you know what? I got to marry her. That was for me the biggest moment of exposure for my entire life. It changed my family. It changed my life. Everything's better now.
But again, it just goes back to the message. You gotta you gotta be exposed, right?
Yeah.
You're hanging around people who's exposing you to things that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
You're hanging around people that's showing you like, damn, I can be happy in the marriage.
Yeah.
I can be a great dad.
Yeah.
I can be a great business owner.
Yeah.
You get what I can serve in my community. Whatever that thing is in your life, if you get around people that's doing that and that's showing that in a good, positive way,
yeah,
it's the law of attraction.
Yeah,
the law of attraction.
Definitely. You got anything else you want to tell the audience about the importance of exposure?
I would say for me, I would back to that question that I asked you. My biggest.
Oh yeah, I ain't asked you because I ain't think the audience wanted to hear. They only want to hear your boy.
Your boy about to get taken to the third. Like
yeet.
All right, now stop playing with me now. But my biggest moment of exposure is just being exposed to great dads. Like, I'm daddy of the decade, of the century.
I'm
daddy of the century.
You done gave a few claims. I can give you that one. I've seen you.
I'm daddy of the century.
Yeah, I can give you that one.
So often, for us, dad was in jail our whole life, really, from the time we were 6 to 22. So the times where you need that male figure in your life, we didn't have that image. So one of my biggest fears, my biggest struggles is not always, because we wasn't exposed to that, just saying like, damn, I'm going to be a good dad.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think one thing that I got to give us credit to is being intentional and hanging around good dads. Yeah. People that, like, men that love their family, men that love their kids, that love their wife, and just showing us, like, it's real.
Yeah.
Right? Because for us, like, that happiness happiness in the family was only a fairy tale for us.
You think about it, yeah.
It was only a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Our life was drama, stress, frustration. Shout out to our mom. She did the best that she could.
And what she had, yeah.
But for us, that's all we was exposed to.
Yeah.
Right? But then when you see good, you see something great, and you see something that you want to exemplify, game over.
Yeah. So I think we wrap it up after that. I think we done gave them a lot of stories about the importance of exposure. Guys, our entire message is exposure. Expose yourself. If you really want to expand in life, that comes through exposure. Anything else that you want to add, my boy?
Nah, man, if you guys got value out of this episode, make sure y'all share it with somebody.
Yeah.
Like, this is really our real purpose and our core purpose in life, man. We want to get this message out to the world to help people understand that, guys, you have to be exposed. If you want to grow, if you want to get to the next level, if you want to be great, if you want to dominate your industry, dominate your life, you got to be exposed. So, man, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share, review, all that good stuff.
And, guys, just so you know, every Tuesday we will be dropping a new episode. So every Tuesday we dropping a new episode. We going deep into the importance of exposure and expansion. We giving it all, guys. I'm telling you, it ain't no fluff. We giving you everything that we got. So make sure you guys tune in every single Tuesday. You guys leave us a review. Let us know how we did. Let us know how we can get better. Guys, be honest with us, please. Be brutally honest. I know I did good. Let Josh know how bad he was, please.
Nah, y'all go ahead and comment and be like, hey, Josh was the star player. Josh scored, right now, I scored 12 TDs, 140 rushing yards, 600 receiving yards in one game, my boy.
One game?
In one game, my boy.
You are not like that, but I seen you play. You trash. You was trash.
Man, let's wrap up before I knock you.
All right, guys, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We truly, truly appreciate it. Expose and expand.